All right, traders, welcome back to the channel. We're going over ticker symbol DWAC, Trump's stock, regarding his new overall company, Truth Social, and the new media platform coming out. Now, this is going to be unbiased, going over the stocks, how we liked it from our original buy zone, and where it's at now, and how I see it moving over the course of the next few weeks. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. So, looking at the chart, where we mentioned the last buy zone, go watch the previous videos if you need to. It was around 49 to 51 bucks. That's where I liked it. You had a quick steep drop to 46. But you still liked it, still moved great. It is what it is. You started to move it up. Now, you could argue you had a double bottom at 47.5, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how it's moving now. You had that push up to 66 roughly, which was kind of a double top. Personally, that's where I've been getting out of my position. That's what I mentioned, that being the heavy resistance. But you started pushing towards 75, so if you held, congratulations. However, I have some negative news for the next few, 2 weeks, if you will. Now, I think you're getting somewhat of a double top. You're going to be, chomping at this range up here that we have marked, this 74 through like 71.5 range. That's going to be a pain in the butt. But over the next few days and about 2 or 3 weeks, I do anticipate you're going to get some downside, roughly towards 63, maybe even 66, onto the other side. Now, from there, I personally think you're going to start trying to push back up to the 73, 74 range, maybe not wicking all the way up, but that's just how I see you moving. But the key question is going to be, how do you react if you get back to this zone? If you get back to the 74 range, how do you react? Now, why I believe you're going to react like this is just my opinion. This is what I see going on from options. First thing I want to mention is your OBV is going insane. I do think this was a heavy move and help from options. There were shorts here as well, but the last time you saw movement like this, you can continue to see it's those options, in my opinion. Last time you saw here, boom, a steep move here. And if you really look, you had more of a move here. This was a very, even though you had a more gain here to 66 from 40, from here, there's more an actual break on that OBV range. So that's what I want to highlight there. Now, next thing we're going to do is go over to the overall flow. Now, looking here, I don't think this is going to be too helpful looking at unusual wells. Specifically on this chart, it's a little deceiving. Now it shows you the call premium, but I think this is a little bit dated, and it's just the overall flow coming in. But you can see that it looks really bullish in comparison looking at the overall call premium. But if you look at 17 mil to 2.9 mil right here, that's just what got you to where you're at, in my opinion. But if you look at the overall options on E-Trade and see what's open in the open interest, this is where things get concerning. So we look right here. We can look. This is for this week, just so you know, the $70. About 7,000 total there, including the volume and the open interest. Now, if you go back to what I tweeted yesterday, someone was asking why I think this thing could continue to run if it was going to, and this was the reason. I tweeted this out and I highlighted that there was over 16,000 in volume yesterday on those 70s. But if you look, a lot of those orders got canceled or just overall cut out. And now you can see, going back to E-Trade, that there's nothing in between there. The next thing you have is going to be those 75s with about 12,000 coming in today and another 6,000 on those 80s. However, I don't think those are going to get pushed in the money, especially with how indexes are moving now. So if you just go and look up at the indexes, you're getting a downward push. And I think you're going to have to get an overall help from that, because right now I don't think there's any more options that need to be hedged for, specifically on DWAC. So that's the concern there. So if I'm looking at this, I'm not shorting it. I don't have puts or anything like that. I think it's more of just sit back and wait for your next entry opportunity. That's what I'm looking at personally. That's how I'll be trying to trade this. There's no reason to shove or push in here. Now, a lot of people have been asking me to make this update, but in my opinion, what was the point of making an update and just going over what we already thought was going to happen, right? You had that double bottom down here. You came down to your buy zone and you shot back up to 66. There was no real news. The only news that you've had is that Trump announced that they're planning to go live for True Social in the middle of February, which, yes, is very, very bullish news. But it would not surprise me that you see some news selling and then you're going to get an initial pump back up, possibly going into the actual release of that platform, right? So that's what you want to really see, is going into the end of the month. The best case scenario, if you're trying to make money on this or make, just an opportunity to make money on this on the option side, is you want to see a dip into the end of the month. That's what you would like to see. Into the next few weeks, you want to see a dip down to 61, target 166, target 6160, and then from there you have to see how you react. So I'll have more updates coming out just based on how it's moving, but I would bet that $60 to 60.5 holds very strong right here. So I'll just create a box so you can see, just create that visual for you guys. About right there, we have that last line of support, in my opinion. That's where I think you're going to start getting down to, and that's where I'd be looking for positions. Now, giving you guys the opportunity to play the stock play. I know a lot of people are interested in stock, and people were playing the stock side of Dwac. Now, if you're interested in maybe a riskier aspect of it in the stock, but less risky than options, you can play the warrant side of it, Dwac W. And this is where people were really making their money, because you ended up running almost 100% locally to those tops from that bottom a little over a week ago from 13 bucks on the warrants, right? And if you look, the chart lines up, double bottom almost perfectly, and then boom, you shot up. So these are those warrants, and it basically just is an account of how options and the stock move together. So that's why I originally saw a little bit of a push, but then people started flowing into the options. And when that happened, it really graded those warrants to go up even more. So that's how these are a little bit more confusing to play. But if you're looking at that opportunity, you're going to want to see a dip down to about $18 in my opinion. That's where I like it. 18 for my second target. First target a little bit more on the aggressive side is about 19.9. That's where I'd be looking there. But warrants are a little bit more risky. I personally would probably be looking at options for myself, but that's what I like right now. Another really interesting thing to see is what's happening to the side stocks with this, right? Like PHUN, this typically was running with Dwac, right? But you're not really seeing that volume. You saw a 20-cent move up, 30, 40-cent move. This is nothing compared to what you were seeing in the past with these huge legs. So I want people just to understand that I'm looking more at the fundamental play here and more of the play of the actual stock that we like. I don't want to play on the risky side of the penny play here. That's just not worth the risk, especially with how you're moving. That's my personal opinion. You're getting held below those resistances as well as a $3 resistance. You got shot right back down. So these are things you got to be looking forward to and looking at to mitigate the risk. Now, I understand people want to make that next home run play, but I just don't like these plays specifically. I know there's other ones. There's SEAC, another one that everyone likes. I just don't like it right now. You see how it's moving? It's just not getting those pumps. It looks pretty bearish in my opinion. You're holding the monthly. However, this thing could easily start pushing back down. So if you're looking here, the only play is going to be Dwac. And I want that push down, and I see more of a push coming down, especially with that hard rejection today. Now, if you're looking for any sort of bounce or you expect a bounce, you're going to have to be looking at these indexes right here, the Nasdaq, the Dow. And right now, today's been a brutal day for them. You've seen lots of blood in the water. They're trying to get a rebound going, but you're just not getting it. So that's my viewpoint on Dwac, how I see it moving over the coming days, and just the overall movement that I'm seeing happening very soon. Now, before I hop out of here, I will say the overall risk with this is a little bit higher than a lot of other stocks because the dangers of Trump. And you have to acknowledge that with Trump comes a lot of baggage, specifically with bad press. And for companies, sometimes any press is good press. For most companies, actually. So just getting the name out there is going to help True Social tremendously. However, you just have to be aware. We've seen the lawsuits. We've seen the constant legal battles with Trump just in general. Even since the overall release of this platform or the news of the release, we've seen it overall just be really pressed out there, even though Trump is out of office now. So continue to expect these things to come out and prepare for the worst when you're investing in this. Prepare for the worst, and if the best happens, kudos to you. You're happy. You're riding to the moon. But always prepare for the worst. And I really recommend preparing for the worst when you're looking at this, because anything could happen with this in the next few weeks, especially on the downside. I do not put it past these other news platforms to really start attacking Trump. Look at CNN's numbers. If you haven't seen it on Twitter and other social medias, CNN's numbers is going absolutely down the toilet right now. I don't think this is a coincidence. I think there's going to be a major media war here in the next few weeks, and I think we're just kind of embarking on that journey. Like, subscribe, do what you gotta do. The Discord link is down below for every single trade I'm taking, the Twitter link and everything like that. Remember, we run the market.
Don't got enough to go cop it. I'm about to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem, but that don't mean money will solve them.